We finally made it. Sorry we're late. Oh my goodness. As soon as I see me going on YouTube here, I will do our introductions and then we'll make some announcements and we'll get into this astrology.
Have our people been here asking questions like, where is everybody?
All right, we're in. Okay, cool. Guys, Mercury retrograde. Woo! This is crazy.
Woo! Yeah.
I am so happy. We have folks in the chat here. We've got Dr. Walker with us. We've got Miss Brenda. We've got It's Bliss Wellness and Yoga. And then, of course, we've got the main stars of the show, myself, Julie Sherwood, and Maria Schumacher. And so we are ready to give you guys the business, okay? There is some pretty interesting astrology getting ready to happen, right? Actually, Maria was the one who reached out to all of us and she said, you guys, we have to talk about this, okay? Like there's just stuff coming. There's 2 T-squares. There's squares all over my natal chart with what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
The recent new moon in Cancer, a lot of psychic energy coming to the forefront. The full moon, I'm scared to look at it. I've looked at it a little bit. And so that's coming up on the 19th. Then we've got Pluto back into Sagittarius. We've got an eclipse point coming, so we'll explain all of that. Hopefully, you guys have been following me, know what that is. So, but we're gonna lay it all out. But the main star of the show is going to be Mars and Jupiter conjunct in the constellation of Taurus, and this perfects next week on the 14th of August. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to get you guys ready for that. The energy's nice right now. It's a little wonky right now, but get ready. This weekend's going to pick up. It's going to get more and more intense. Okay. So those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Hello, my beautiful souls. I'm playing with some new technology tonight. So I wanted to just show you my little trick here. There we go. Hello, beautiful souls. So we're going to talk about all that tonight. I have Julie Sherwood and Maria Schumacher. I'm going to let them introduce themselves real quick. Miss Julie, take it away. Tell them who you are.
All right. Well, some of you may know Maria and me from Holistic Health Happy Hour that we do on the new moon and the full moon. I'm also a constellational astrologer. Yes, Mars and Jupiter are not in Gemini, people. It is actually in Taurus. Use your phones. Look at the sky. Use your eyes. Look at the sky.
Okay.
Look up, exactly. I do, as my dear friend Danny, Dr. Danny has put on the screen, root cause therapy method, going to the root of what ails you and yank it out. But I can also look at your chart and give you an idea of what kind of energies might support you in that process. So you see my details on the bottom, and I will turn it over to my other co-hostess in the stars here.
Hi, my name is Maria Schumacher, and I have a technology problem.
No, it's Mercury. It's Mercury. Blame the asshole.
No, we can't even blame Mercury, you guys. This is just how I roll. So I am Maria Schumacher. I am also Vian of Venus13.com. That is my website where I sort of put out all of my little esoteric offerings. I am a 13-sign constellational astrologer. I am a Wiccan priestess. I have studied the occult for the better part of my life, and I will continue to study it for the rest of it because it just keeps unfolding and is the coolest thing ever. I am an interior designer by day. I have a website, Venus13.com. I have a Patreon, Maria's Daily Charts. I write a daily astrology little report blog that I post on Radical Astrology and Cosmic Reflections, 2 Facebook pages. And it's all my fault that we're late, you guys. You don't know. It's me. It was totally me. It was me.
Mercury. Blame the asshole.
Y'all might remember that Maria was one of my co-instructors for the Neptune course. Was that fun or what? A lot of you that are in the chat right now took that course. Give Maria like a thumbs up if you love that course. That was so amazing. Your experience with the surreal, with the astral, with those woo-woo energies is what made that class so perfect. you know, and I absolutely love it. And just to do a shameless plug for learn.drdanny.com, our dear friend, we all three know him, Don Bird Talk, is going to be teaching evolution or lunar nodes and evolutionary destiny. It's the second part of our summer session series. Summer session 1 was business and financial astrology. Some of you guys took that too. And our last live is tomorrow night. So that'll be a live Q&A for 2 hours. We're getting together at 6 o'clock, same time, same bad place, but it'll be on Zoom instead. You all should have gotten an email, number 1, so that you can get into the Zoom call. And then number 2, you all get an exclusive discount for the lunar node class, so 15% off. And so check your emails for that. Some of you are already enrolled, and that's wonderful. I think we have 8 or 9 already. So Don's really excited. He has been sending me content, videos of the class. Oh, I mean, it's exceeding my expectations. The way that he teaches is incredibly wonderful and engaging. And I think you all are really going to get a whole lot out of it. Instead of looking at the chart and look at the lunar nodes and go, what's this person's path? Like, you're literally going to be able to go just see it and have a sentence in your mind, and then you'll be able to expound on it with Don's teachings in your mind. He also has a resource document that he put together for you. So it's a quick, you can just, if you are doing charts right now and you want to look, I will upload those actually probably tonight or tomorrow morning. And then also your first video module will be available tomorrow. So you'll get basically the overview of the course from Don. It's about a 25-minute video giving you the background on the lunar nodes, how to calculate the lunar nodes, all this really good stuff. And then probably by early next week, we'll get you guys into the South Node, deep through the houses and deep through the constellations. And it'll be an interactive class, because at the end of that, on September 4th, we're going to get together, me and Don, and I'm going to facilitate a Q&A for you guys with Don for any of the information that he's gone through. So it's going to be a really nice interactive experience. I'm so excited the way this is growing and coming together. I think I'm recruiting Julie. She hasn't said yes yet, but I'm trying to get her for a Chiron, but we'll see. So if you guys want to see Julie do Chiron, let her know in the chat so that she can be excited about that with us. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you guys for letting me do that. And I'm going to show the link to that real quick so you guys can go there. Okay.
Let's try a Mercury shadow before I commit to anything. Okay.
That's fine. We're looking at September for you. Yeah. And then I'm going to ask another one of our colleagues to talk about Uranus.
Not mine. Sorry. Couldn't resist. Y'all got to understand tonic humor here.
That's right. That's right. All right. So what do you say we get into it?
Sure.
Do you want me to share my screen? Should I do that?
Better you than me.
Well, you know what? I think, Julie, if you can, that would be cool, because what I'd like to do is play with my little scroll buttons here. That way people can, I can interact with those that are chatting with us.
You'll have to give me a few seconds here because I don't have the chart up. I have to go into a different remote.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Maria, while she's looking.
I can do it.
Oh, okay. You're going to do it. Look at this. All of us coming out in our
button. Says something, and there's the okay.
Make sure you highlight the thing that you want to share. It'll say entire screen, but then you have to click on it one more time, and then you hit share screen. Yes, you're doing it.
Am I doing it?
Let me do it. Show on screen. Hold on. Why can't I show it?
Is it working? Wait a minute. I think I did. I thought I did it.
Try it again.
Okay.
We're gonna get this together, guys. You're doing great.
Well, in the meantime, while you're pulling that up, I'm going to read the one sentence that I wrote down here about just a summary of Mars conjunct Jupiter in Taurus, the courageous fighter to defend personal values around greater truths and belief systems. So I call that the theme as they're clicking buttons.
No.
Because
did that work? Did I do it?
No. Well, I don't think so.
We have Restream studio sharing.
Nope. You know what? I will do it. I will get us back on here, and I'll do it all. It'll be okay. I thought
I was actually going to help.
No, I think it would have worked. I'm just not really sure how, unless it's,
Window.
See, we're not Hollywood slick, and we like it this way. You just walk into the white bar.
You're very not.
Three of us.
Yeah.
Maria shared screen, show on screen. So I just clicked on that, but then it won't let me do it. So that's okay. Let me do one more thing.
We'll get it. We'll get it.
And I'm going to say, like it if you love it. And then I'm going to share my screen.
We keep it real here, people. We keep it like very, very real.
Share entire screen, share. Okay, you guys are going to see my inner workings now. So hopefully that won't be too intimidating. Okay, we'll put that down, and then we will open this.
There you are.
All right.
Can you see it? Cool.
I like it, and I love it.
All right, so Julie, just shout out anybody's chats if you see them, because I can't see anybody right now, and I want to make sure that we get to the right date here.
Most of the chats right now are just they're chatting, so no questions yet.
Okay, good. No. What I really want to know is where everybody's Jupiter and Mars is, because I think that would be helpful to some people.
As in, like, which house?
Yeah, like if they know what house their deal's in. Then we can, or we can go through the houses. I don't know, however you guys want to do it.
I'm on the 9th with mine.
Yeah, this is today. And then the 14th is the perfection, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's this day right here.
Yeah.
The only thing I don't like about this restream is I can't get my little pen out to draw for you guys like I do on my normal presentations. But here you can see Mars and Jupiter together at 24 degrees of Taurus, making this T-square to Venus, who's opposing Saturn, who's squaring back to these guys. And this, you guys, this square between Jupiter and Saturn is actually going to last for the better part of a year, going in and out because of the cyclic retrogrades that we have.
Right.
So it's going to be an intense squaring energy, and it's not going to happen all at once, right? I think with these longer transits, it's more of a gradual sort of working with it. You know, first you get the reaction, then you get the integration, and then you get the constructive or the resolution of it, right? So
we have somebody in the chat, initials BU with question mark birth charts. And if your question is relative to where is the Jupiter, Mars, the question for me would be in what house, if you know.
Yeah, let me go. See, this is why it's you guys should share the screen, but I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how to do it.
It's okay. Let me go here. I'm going to put this question up on the screen for you guys, and then I will go back to the chart. Yep. So that's where you can go to drdanny.com. You can do the free chart calculator if you want to. It's also on Mastering the Zodiac. There are other places that you can calculate it too. But what you'll do is you'll look and see where Taurus is in. So you can just put your natal data in, like your date of birth, time, and location. Look at Taurus and then see the inner ring and see what house that is for you. So for me, this is my this is all my first house. So I don't know. I'm experiencing this as expansive action, as faith in the will, as bravery in faith, bravery in expansion, abundant action, those sorts of energies. So it's like an expansion of Mars energy, which is always very go get it. Now I have natal Mars in Leo that's squaring to that. There's a tension for me. There's an energy. There's like this, it's almost like not an anxiety, but like there's this energy bottled up inside of me. And so what I've had to do is really ground myself, get out into nature, take a minute, take a breather, try to not worry about things so much. And that seems to help me a lot with that square. But Saturn's also there too, squaring on this energy. And that with retrograde Saturn, it feels a little bit less like a slave driver. And I feel like the boundaries, there's a little bit more reworking that you're allowed to do with that. But once Saturn goes direct again, I feel like it's going to be more hardcore, more like go, 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 go. So that's my feeling on the Mars and Saturn and Jupiter energy. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, before I answer, you got two questions. One, Narita says, I have Mars in the second house, whole sign birth chart, not sure of sidereal, hence I'm here listening. The house systems are, depending on which system you use, is regardless of which constellational sign system you use. So it could very well still be in your second house, depending on where your house boundaries are. And then Bliss says Mars Virgo 11th in Jupiter, Mars in Virgo 11th house, Jupiter 7th Taurus.
So her Taurus is in her 7th house.
Right. Yeah, and I've got this hit with the Mars Jupiter, like I said, on the cusp of my 9th house, but I've also got good old Uncle Dave sitting on top of my moon.
In your 8th house.
Yeah, in my 8th house, right. So I've got that energy going on as well. And I think a lot of it has to do with.
Oh, you know what I can do, you guys? I can actually pull up my chart here so I can show you how to look for your house. So see where Taurus is right here, you guys, on my natal wheel? That energy of Jupiter and Mars is sitting right here in my 1st house. That's why I know it's in my 1st house. So wherever your Taurus is sitting, so for Julie, it's up here.
Yep.
Right? And then for Maria, where is it for you?
2nd house.
So you're down, you're a little bit ahead of us here with that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's how you take that energy into your chart and what areas of your life, right? BU says his or hers are in Cancer, 8th house Mars on the cusp of Leo for birth chart. So, yeah, and you can experience it very differently. And Taurus is all about the inner and external resources on a personal level. But then you have it expanded by Jupiter, and then you've got Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. It's all about how do we experience that in the collective, right? In the greater community. So it's that, I think it's like that challenge to find that happy space between them, between my personal values and what I personally want to hold dear to me and how I bring that out to the collective. Maybe it's a rebuild. I mean, look at all the crazy stuff going on, right? We're questioning our own personal perspectives right now.
Well, I'm gonna leap in here because we really haven't talked about the chart. It isn't in this case, at least on that day when it perfects, it isn't just Jupiter and Mars together. That T-square, which is also a grand cross with the moon, if you notice. Yes. So the conjunction is directly opposite the moon. The moon is also square to Saturn and Venus. And Saturn is retrograde. So that rebuild, Julie, is just exactly the right word. So I wanted to leap in on that moment. There's a wanting us to consider how to restructure as we move forward in our integrity with faith in our inner guidance. And I think that's the opposition because look where the moon is, right on the cusp of Ophiuchus, 0 degrees Ophiuchus. So we're going to be deeply connected to our deepest inner selves, opposite that expanded action taking. And again, as long as it's from a place of integrity, because that's been the lesson. Both Jupiter and Mars had to cross Aldebaran. And Aldebaran can be a real kingmaker as long as you are within your integrity, as long as you have integrity. And that integrity can be on several different levels,
right?
Including structurally strong, square Saturn, right? And of course, square Saturn in Aquarius. So it's going to want us to look at not just how strong are things for us personally, but how strong are things for the greater good. Because Taurus is an intensely personal sign. A lot of what we do there is kind of all about us. What do we like? What is our integrity? What are our values? What are our resources? Now there's that square to Saturn in Aquarius retrograde that asks us to relook at, all right, how is that feeding into what we're building in the collective? Across from Venus in Leo, which is also about our values, but is going to want us to fiercely defend that. Like, all right, I know who I am. I love who I am. I act from that place of deep Venusian love and strength. I mean, Venus in Leo, she's been conjunct Regulus.
Yeah.
And just so the strength card all over the place, that Venus in Leo on Regulus. So she doesn't need to be like, I am strong, I'm in your face, I'm ripping things apart because I'm so strong. She's more like, bingo.
Did you just pull that? Did you just pull that like randomly?
Not really.
Oh. I was like, whoa.
And who rules Taurus?
Who rules Taurus, Danny?
Venus.
Yes. And
She also rules Virgo. She also rules Virgo, by the way.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's our next podcast.
We're gonna
actually,
I swear to God, we're changing it. But yeah, so don't leave out that lunar opposition that makes it a grand cross, because that's kind of huge for this particular transit.
Well, and interestingly too, Uranus is hanging out in Taurus, and Uranus rules, by modern rulers, rules Aquarius, which is where the Saturn retrograde is. So there's a lot of these cross conversations going on with the planets, right? And I think this is the juiciness of it. Just like Venus ruling Taurus is hanging out in a square, saying, hey, can you express what you value? How do you express all this in relationships, right? It's also maybe forging new relationships to take forward into the world, right? You may let some of your relationships may go a different direction, or they just may have run their course of the soul contract, if you will, and others will come in, and you may need to accept that that's a natural process.
Yeah, I mean, if this is in your 7th house, if you got this conjunction in your 7th house, then yes, relationships, partnerships, business partnerships, I think even, partnerships that come together for a purpose, not just in intimacy.
Right.
There could be a strengthening through attention, through a trial of some sort, perhaps.
Yes. Yeah, and new ones called in as well.
Yes, exactly. And I think the opportunity for new ones is going to be greater. I just do. I really think there's going to be some opportunity there. So,
yeah, because Mars is newness. It's brave. It's Aries energy, right? First house.
Well, not only that, we just had the new moon was on the cusp, the latter degrees of Cancer. And now the sun has already ingressed or very close to ingressing into Leo. It depends on where you draw your boundaries, right? But it's pretty close. And Venus is where? In Leo. So and the sun rules Leo. So again, we've got these cross conversations. But by the time the conjunction of Mars-Jupiter perfects, the sun will be in Leo. So again, you're pulling that energy into Leo where the sun rules, and Venus, I think, will be even more highlighted in that regard. If the sun will add some color to it. So,
and she tends to have a softening aspect too on any of the harsh Saturn energies that you're dealing with, So it could be a good lesson. We have a question in here, you guys, but I do want to this right here, but I do want to just touch on one more thing with that. Mars Jupiter, and you brought it up when you said, hey, we should talk about this. We might go off on a tangent on this one, but it's that the rise of the divine feminine, the wounded sacred feminine, the wounded sacred masculine. What does that mean for us as a collective? So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
My thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay. So
that's why you're here, silly.
No, remember, we don't care what you think. We're just here for your lovely face.
No.
So, okay. Where to begin? And like this is like Maria World's right opinion. This is not written down in any book, right? It's how I feel about it. But how I feel about it is that the overarching energy right now, the defining energy of this moment, is Uranus and Algol. It's all about the Uranus-Algol conjunction. Number one, that's a long-running conjunction. Number two, that's a simpatico energy, right? They're simpatico in that they have kind of the same vibe. And that vibe has to do with shaking stuff up, dredging stuff up. So here's Uranus coming by Algol. Hey, girl, right? He sees her. This is what will happen. Uranus energy will make you see something differently. So everybody else has been seeing the monster for all this time. Uranus comes by and he's like, hey, right? I could hit that. So he sees her differently. And that brings out the wounds. No, so number one, it like brings up all of the stuff that we haven't seen about her, but also puts that in contrast to how we have been seeing it. And she's not going to stand for it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I see now how wrong this is. I see now how wrong this has been. I see that I'm not going to put up with it anymore. So he's like, okay, what are we going to do about it? And then, and then Jupiter comes by them. All right, well, I'll work on that. And he's going away. And then Mars comes by them. All right, I'll work on that. I'm going away. Meanwhile, they're sticking with their tight conjunction across from Lilith in Libra.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Lilith asteroid, another kind of aspect of that algol energy, the Lilith, right? Again, the rejected, vilified, demonized female. Only she's there in Lilith. She's going to want to take it further into all women.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. So that's why we're particularly getting the rise of the divine feminine right now, because of that unusual conjunction that is long running.
Mm-hmm.
We have also, it's fair, well, I'm not going to go there.
And I was going to say real quick, just so people know, Mercury retrograde is wreaking havoc with my doggy's health. So if I go off screen for a minute, it's because he's getting picked up. So
Good baby.
pretend that I didn't do that. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the rise of the divine feminine. Now,
this also ties into my whole thesis behind the Venus ruling Virgo, because if you've got Venus ruling Taurus, which makes sense. It's an earth sign. It's about the things we value and all of that. But Venus in Virgo is the divine mother, the feminine, the perfect in her earthiness.
yes.
And they're both earth signs. And I like Venus for Libra because, Mercury for Libra, because it's the higher octave of Mercury as a diplomat, as an equalizer.
Yes.
And if you guys look back, the rulership actually came from the planet's distance from the sun when the summer solstice was in Leo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2,000, 3,000 years ago or something like that. And so you have the sun and moon, Leo and Cancer. Okay. And then you've got Mercury and Venus on the Taurus, Gemini, Mercury, Libra side. And they can switch sides from our perspective. They can switch distances from each other. Does that make sense? So like Venus can be closer than Mercury to Earth. And so it's okay for her to be a little bit closer to us and in the Virgo energy, which is right next to Leo.
Yeah.
And so that I love that. Plus we have our South Node in Virgo right now.
Yes.
Plus we have an eclipse coming in Virgo, October 2nd. Okay.
And so when Venus is the ruler of Virgo, all of that changes. All of that, the whole background energy of this whole story really changes. And so, I bet that if we really rolled up our eighth, rolled up our sleeves and got on our eighth house study glasses, we would find that somebody switched it at some point. Those rulerships did get actually switched.
Well, and go ahead, Maria. Sorry.
I know. I was just going to say, because so many of us feel the truth of this. And I know we're not supposed to say, oh, just because it's touchy-feely doesn't mean it's true. Yeah, okay, but you know when you hear something that just is right. Yeah.
But that goes with the divine feminine, the intuitive energy, right? And we've been in our, several, however many years ago, been pushed into this programming, if you will. And I'm using that term loosely, but that's what the book says. So by God, you've got to accept it. And it's like, but wait.
Isn't that Fairy Mercury though? Isn't that Fairy Mercury? Yeah.
Exactly.
Book and transactional.
Yeah.
That was another thing. It's that now all of Virgo, all of the qualities of Virgo had to become transactional, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is worth that. This is not worth that. There's a judgment and value and all of that. And it's because Mercury should be in fucking Libra where he belongs, right? And it's just so, And I'm saying this as a Libra moon. It was almost comforting to have Mercury as that sign ruler. It's like, yes.
Well, and the other thing is with Taurus, again, being the stars of the garden, right? The senses, the five senses. This is where you plant the seed and dig in the dirt and do all of that. Well, what is Virgo? She's holding the wheat, the harvest. So it just makes total sense that once you plant the seed, that Venus gets to realize the harvest too.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes total sense to me.
And for my studies, Venus brings through energy into matter, into creation.
Yes.
That's what she does, either by creating something beautiful or procreating. Okay, and that's what Virgo does. Virgo is the pregnant energy in the sky. There's thousands of galaxies out there in the Virgo cluster, creating matter out of energy, creating galaxies and planets and stars and dust and people and plants and things. So, yeah.
It's so exciting, isn't it? And it puts Capricorn in a different light too, because I think Venus has a different relationship with Capricorn than we've all been led to believe. Venus and Saturn have a unique relationship.
I agree.
She really softened, and it's like, okay, I'm in the early spring when you're just thinking about planting stuff. We've gone through the winter, and now here comes Venus into Capricorn, and I'm getting that ground ready. I'm getting you to loosen up so that we can plant some seeds in here.
I love that.
Anyway, I'm sorry. We digressed so far from.
Oh, no. I love that. I love that. I do want to talk about Mercury retrograde. This has been a weird Mercury retrograde. The shadows started affecting us like a week before it went retrograde. The flights for my family, because we celebrated my 50th birthday this past weekend, y'all.
Shut up!
Oh my God, yes! Dr. Danny's 50.
To you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Dr. Danny. Happy birthday to you.
See, I love these people. They're so great. Yeah, it was a hoot, but their flights were all messed up. Like a lot of communication issues, stuff like that. Things were every time Mercury goes into shadow, our ice maker breaks.
Oh my God, dude! Our refrigerator
in the middle of summer. Yeah,
like our refrigerator just suddenly.
Keep your juju over there.
Yeah,
an unhappy doggy is enough.
Someone asked, "What if you're born with Mercury retrograde? What does that mean for you?" Right?
Oh, I have thought.
And I know the stats on this. 18% of people have Mercury retrograde in their chart. So, and it usually happens in the same constellation pretty much, right? Like it's always
it hits 3 times a
year. Leo, Scorpio, Fucus, Sag. Yeah. It's usually the same time of year, right around there. And they're a little different than most people, the way they communicate and the way that they perceive information, So they might actually find Mercury retrograde periods to be a little bit easier than the rest of us.
Yeah. And again, Mercury being a communicator, the way you take in information, like Danny was saying, is you may be somebody who has dyslexia issues. You may be somebody who processes information in a much different way than others around you who have Mercury direct. And then are seizures connected to Mercury retrograde? They could be, because Mercury rules health. But
if it was an Aquarius, which is nervous system type energy, then perhaps.
Or Uranus is in a difficult aspect. That could happen too. Yep. So I know I have a friend who's got Mercury retrograde, and she just loves the retrograde season. She's like, yeah, I've got clear thoughts. I'm not scattered. I'm not all over the place, all of that.
Well, for these Mercury retrograde people, I think that they're fine. Like they're fine. Yeah. They know what's going on in there. It's just sometimes they're so smart too that they don't they just don't understand why people don't understand them.
Yeah. Well, and it's like that radio frequency thing, right? Yeah. Like the rest of the world is on, frequency 560, and the Mercury retrograde is on 425, right? And so it's that.
Dyslexics untie.
Yes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, don't mean. I mean, my husband's dyslexic. He always says that joke. So he's like, "Dyslexics untie," and instead of unite.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. Oh my God.
Uh,
Yeah,
Let's see,
medical astrology is the 2 years ballywick. I couldn't say siege. This would be one of those cop out. I know it sounds like a cop out, but we'd have to look at the whole chart, right? It's just
Oh
like,
yeah,
and
of course.
you want to be careful with medical astrology too,
yeah.
because like I'm nervous about even delving into and giving people medical astrology because I am a physician and I don't, you know what I mean? Because those wires are weird to cross too. So,
Yes.
sure.
so anytime you do take advice from a medical astrologer, make sure that your doctor is also on board with whatever
Oh,
it
yeah.
is
Oh,
you're
yeah.
doing too, for sure.
Which is a good avenue to explore, right? It's like, oh, okay, this might be something that's going on. Now I need to consult somebody who can guide me in it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Disclaimer.
There's a medical encyclopedia, Llewellyn, medical astrology encyclopedia, Llewellyn, I think is the name of it. If you want to get that, that'll be helpful because you can look up disorders and it's all tropical. So that's the part that does. This is my question. Like, is there something to? Yeah, there it is. Does tropical actually work? Because when you use medical astrology, it's pretty darn accurate. It's pretty good.
See, and see, here's the thing. Here's my theory. You've got the Venus Virgo theory, which is awesome. Maria's theory about tropical versus the new astrology is that tropical is an earthbound system. So anything that is bound to the earth, like the body, it's going to be able to tell you things about that. But what it actually is a system of divination based on math.
Mm-hmm.
It uses star words and everything, but it's
with a numerological system.
Yes, exactly. It's a numerological system essentially. So in that you can translate that to different parts of the body and assign them numbers fine, and you can find those sort of numerological patterns within it. But it's essentially a system of divination that is abstract from the stars but married to the earth. So it's in some ways it's almost better for that kind of thing. So we might find that as time goes on that we use tropical astrology for medical purposes because the connected to the stars might have just a little bit more overarching thing, like it's more about life path.
There is a sacred geometry within it that really sort of taps into the body energy stuff. And so I think it's super useful, and we're not knocking tropical astrology at all. No. I feel like the constellational astrology is like the it's more the soul guided energy.
Exactly.
You know? It's like the astrology for the soul that's driving your physical avatar.
It's the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really believe that. I think the tropical Western, again, not to knock it, just like you, Danny.
Not at all to knock it.
Yeah. And I think that's the masculine energy, right? Because it's mathematically pretty. It has structure in a way that is easy to understand. It uses numbers magically.
It's repeatable. It's fairly straightforward.
Exactly. But I think the constellational was pushed aside so many years ago because that's when a lot of the divine feminine energy was shoved aside. We don't know how to manage that those lady people know how to intuit things. We don't get that. So we're going to push it aside. It's time to get back to bringing that intuitive energy forward. It doesn't mean you discount the rest. Mm-hmm. Marry them together. That's the idea. And gee, what do we have a square with in this perfection? Mars, Venus? Yeah. It's time. It's time to see them both in a way that you can make magic with them. And I think that's the key. I think that's really the key.
Oh, Tish, you used the word magic.
Well.
I want to get back to the conjunction du jour for a moment.
Yes.
Venus and Mars. I just want to throw out that this conjunction, and because we've got Saturn involved, and because we've got Moon and Ophiuchus involved, and because a little bit of Venus, be prepared for weather, right? Just weather and I'm feeling like earthquakes and volcanoes. Like there's probably going to become some sort of earth, literally shaking of the earth in this. And isn't Mars Jupiter conjunction sort of a classic earthquake thing anyway?
It could be, yeah.
I just feel like that square to Saturn and opposite of Fucus is like, oh, I'm feeling like a weird weather Earth internal thing.
Could be. Well, and you've got that square with Venus, and with the sun ingressing into Leo, it's fire. So the volcano actually makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. And coming up from Mother Earth. You know? Yeah.
Thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, in fact, again, I jotted some quick notes. Mars does not like to be in Taurus. He's in detriment there, meaning that it's negative action. It could be misused action. It could be non-existent action. And he's weakened there potentially because he wants to go. And the Taurus bull says, hey, dude, slow down. One step at a time. We got to do this with a sense of stability. And he feels stifled there. So, and he really wants to go. He can be the protector of the stores, like your stores of resources, right? And this can lead to aggression if the energy is too stifled. So that was the other thing I jotted down. And Jupiter can expand all of this, right? Because he's the great expander. So it can expand it to an extreme where it'll help Mars so long as it's done, as we go back to what Maria said, with integrity.
Yes.
With integrity.
I think that's what I'm picking up here, that it's that there's a shifting and an expanding that wants to happen when these two get together, right? And so there's going to be I want to make room. I want to make room for more. I want more abundance to come in. I want kind of to clear out stuff that isn't going to provide me with more abundance and support. I want to do something, but I'm hammed in because I'm only this space and I'm Mars and I don't like it. And so, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we have a grand trine too.
Tell us about that.
Moon, Sun, Chiron.
Yes.
So I think, trines can be softening energy. They can be very harmonic, but they can also be an energy of complacency too. So that's the other thing that we watch for with these trines is don't let it make you lazy. This feels so good. But I think the squares will upend that a little bit. So I think it's a way that it can be balanced.
There's also some very interesting energy with the bigger, larger planets. Do y'all see this? All these little sextiles going on here? You have Lilith, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, trines Pluto, Neptune trines Lilith, Pluto trines the South Node. There's a lot of really supportive energy from sort of like the I like to call them the ancients, right? Yeah. That's the energy that is the old soul energy that is asking us to, say, hey, and if you look at the chart, it's kind of half and half. Like there's this supportive trine sextile energy here and all of these like spiritual houses or constellations. And then you've got on this side of the chart, just like in the personal energies, in the heart energy, physical energy, it's very squarey.
Yeah.
And all but Uranus in those planets is retrograde.
It's true.
Yeah, and the only personal planet that's retrograde is Mercury. So that's an interesting play off each other, right? It's really giving us an opportunity to build for future generations. It really is.
And keep in mind, too, that I think we touched about this a little bit in the Neptune thing that we did, but Neptune and Pluto have a long-running sextile of their own. Those two are making a sextile trine relationship to who?
Lilith. Oh, and Lilith too. Neptune is trying.
Yep. Lilith and Uranus. So we've got that whole Lilith, Algol, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto thing, long-running mutual aspect thing. And again, that's why I say that the defining energy of the moment is that Algol Uranus trine, because it's supported by a sextile from Neptune and Pluto, who are both retrograde. So it's really interesting. There's some major deep wacko transformation coming on here that's so good.
Somebody, I'm going to take a digression for half a second. Somebody in the chat is talking about how do you tell if something's retrograde. So look where Mercury is in Leo. So if Danny, you can kind of flap your
Right here.
pointer there. See that little red RX? That's how you know. That's retrograde. So that's how you can tell if a planet's in retrograde. Anywhere you see that little red RX in the Prometheus system, it's red, but in other systems, it's just RX black.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you can tell. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes.
So, yep.
So I just feel like this is like just tremendous support. Like there's an asking here for us to have faith, for us to trust. You know, yeah. I personally believe when I read astrology, I read very positively. Like I apologize at the beginning of my readings and I say, I am giving you your best self here, your highest potential when I read for you. And that's what I see too here. And so we have to have faith that these planets want us to enlighten, that they want us to learn their lessons, you know, with grace and with dignity. But the earthly realm provides us challenges. It provides us karma. So
building blocks.
Yeah.
Building blocks. Yeah. I mean, and you know, the work that I do in solution focused wellness coaching, we look for the solutions. How can we use the potential of the energy to move toward a solution? And it could be challenging. That's the squares bring that knock on your door that you can't ignore. The question is, how do you answer the door?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, so get this grand trine that you noticed, supported by the sextiles in the ancients, right? Got support for doing the work creatively. But that trine of Moon, Chiron, Eris, don't forget about her.
Oh, yeah, I don't aspect her.
Sorry. Yeah.
She's right here. She sits right here, right?
Yeah, she's in there. I'm looking at my screen, which has everybody on. I got everybody on. And trying back to Sun, again, which kind of brings up all of that stuff that we might not have brought up before. All of the deep wounds. They want us to look at them. They want us to address them, to give us the chance to move beyond them, to give us the chance to alchemize them, to, you know, really make use of that Pisces. All right, we're gonna bring it compassion. We're gonna bring it up. We're gonna look at it. We're gonna alchemize it. We're going to use the Neptune Pluto energy of deep and profound transformation to finally, because my nodes are in Virgo and Pisces, move beyond all of this into something completely new, Uranus and Algol.
Right. And, you know, Chiron and Pisces is, you know, not only the whole thing about, you know, compassionate understanding for all those who suffer, it's also in retrograde reminds us that we don't carry everybody else's suffering and pain, but we have compassion for it. Because if you carry everybody else's, then you're going to have one big ass bag of boulders to carry around. and no, I mean, seriously, you know, and right now it's really hard to create that sensation of I can have empathy, I can have compassion, but it's not mine to carry. Doesn't mean you ignore it, but it's not mine to carry. What can I do to carry my own so that I'm in the best shape possible to bring the best me to the table, right? So yeah, I know that's my story, but that's where I operate from. So yeah.
I'd just like to make one more point about Uranus
and
Lilith that I've been picking up on. I feel like this Lilith energy, it's instinctually honed into harmony, being in Libra, right? Looking for justice, looking for equity and equality, and that's what she's going for. That's what it is being driven for her, almost in an obsessive kind of way. And then Uranus is just sort of like that erratic, electric, nervous system type of change. And one of the things that you can do when you have an opposition like this is to literally, and you have control over it. You can do it however you want. You can do it big, you can do it small, is to break pattern.
Love that.
Right? So even if it's small, like just drive a different way to work.
Yep.
You know, just trick the programming, tell them what you're doing so that you are, you know, relaying or laying down new neural pathways for yourself.
Yeah.
And if you do something new a little bit every day, then you are conscientiously working with that energy rather than having to unconsciously react to it when it happens to you out of nowhere.
Well, and Uranus invites that, right?
And we need to have a little less reaction around things these days, don't we? Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like more planful. Yeah.
Lilith invites that too. I mean, she wants us to do something different. She doesn't want you to be stuck in a rut and a routine. And definitely feel for yourself. You know, be aware of how everybody is being affected by what, you know, we want, just not for ourselves, but for all womankind.
And Mercury rules routines, and it's in retrograde. Rethink how you do your routine every day.
Yeah.
You know, maybe you're going to get up a little later. Maybe you're going to do your meditation in the morning instead of in the evening. Maybe you're going to do Maria's daily charts the night before instead of the morning up. You know, I mean, just random stuff out there, right?
Yeah.
Have dinner for breakfast and breakfast for dinner. Whatever it is, change your daily routine, like Danny said, in one way or another. Just something small. It doesn't have to be huge.
Or be willing for it to change.
Yeah, that's true too.
Kind of like this kind of like my day was. This is like, if there was anything like a routine in my day, not so much. Today is just not going to happen. So there are days like that when it's just, okay, everything that you usually do is not happening.
Right. And having grace not only for others when that happens to them, but having grace for yourself. Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's so it went left instead of right. Is it really that life earth shattering? No. Life, it's okay, you know. And Mercury in retrograde kind of reminds us of that very frequently. Very frequently. Yeah. So,
you know, it's almost, once you get comfortable with Mercury retrogrades, you kind of look forward to them, because it really does give you a break from that relentless routine that many of us are shuffled into or fall into too easily. It's like, no, you need to break it up. You need to do something different. You need to do something new. And that, you're right, Danny, that's a great, I hate to use the word remedy, but it's a great way to respond to those energies.
And it helps you with, it doesn't have to be related to the things that may or may not change for you either.
Right.
You know, if you have tea instead of coffee, then that's, you're just a little bit more mindful about the choices you're making, which helps you when you're navigating the intense energies of Mercury retrograde. Because Mercury's in our face right now. Mercury is going to be the closest to us on the 19th too, which is also that full moon coming up. That full moon in Aquarius, right?
Yes.
Because we're skipping Capricorn. In the constellational energy.
Yeah,
we're skipping Capricorn.
But maybe that's a discussion for another time.
Oh no, I know. We're just sort of. I'm doing the smooth wrap up. That's part of my host.
Oh, I like it. All right.
I would like to actually just kind of shout both of you out, really, honestly, Julie, because while I told you I didn't have a lot of time to process our little session from the other day, I will say that it was a intense experience. It was a very helpful experience. I enjoyed it. She used all kinds of stuff like muscle techniques and talking to your spirit, and you go back in the past and you figure stuff out, and man, things are just so surprising what comes up, and because you might have these little patterns that you just don't recognize are going on with you, and it might drive you crazy on how to fix it. And this lady right here, over here, she knows how to do it. So I want to shout you out for that, and I really appreciate that. We actually did a little service exchange, and so that's what you do when you build community, and that's where we are. So I don't have the Radical Astrology's link here handy, but Maria writes a daily every day over there, every single day. That's not easy to do unless you love writing. Unless you've got about an hour a day to do that, maybe sometimes more. I don't know how you do it, to be honest with you. But it's literally little nuggets of wisdom. It's not necessarily like that you have to even understand astrology. You can read the first few sentences and go, okay, I'll figure that out later. But then after that, she pulls it together and she brings you this like just amazing nugget of wisdom. And sometimes it'll just be in my feed because I forgot that every day she does it. And I'm like, oh, there it is. Yay. And it brightens my day. And then I'll read it and I'll just be like, oh, damn it. She did it again.
Oh.
So,
I want to chime in and support that too, because what I love about the way Maria writes her dailies is that it tells a story. And yes, there's some astrological techno speak in there, but that's okay. If you don't get that, or it's a little bit not solidified in you yet because you're fairly new, that's okay. Read the story. Just read the story and you'll understand the story of the sky, and you don't have to be an astrologer to understand that. That's the beauty in how you write. You hit both ends. You hit the astrologer techno person, and you hit the story of the person who just doesn't have all the jargon yet. So,
and you know what? We're just normal people. We're just trying to figure all this out. We are. We have normal families and lives and friends and work and everything. And we just really enjoy this work so much. We just love bringing it to you, and I enjoy working with both of you so much in every and any way that we can. And so I hope we do this more often. I hope this was a good experience coming on my channel and trying the whole live thing, even though Mercury's an asshole.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. And
so I would definitely check out both these ladies' websites and see if there's something in there that they can help you out with or exchange with. They're totally fine to do that too. Like if you have something cool you want to show them, they would love to learn from you as well.
I am about building community, and I do get on my soapbox about that. And I think it's important to build this kind of a community where, hey, you're really good at this and I'm really good at that. Let's do a trade. And I'm totally all over that. Now, granted, I understand you got to put food on your table. I get that. But if it's within the ability to do that, hey, I got an egg lady around the corner, and then I'm going to, do a trade with her for that. This is the system. I think Uranus in Taurus is asking us to do that.
Yeah.
How do you make a bigger community based on the internal values and your personal values? It's a different money system, if you will, different bartering. Well, it's actually going back.
I agree. I love all of that is going to get slowly changed as Uranus makes its way through Taurus. So
yeah,
and I think that's sort of the blessing of it being carried by Uranus instead of others, because it's going to happen in digestible bites.
Yep.
I mean, there's anyway.
They aren't normal. We're amazing women. Well, everybody, we just thank the community. It's amazing. I just can't believe I know these two ladies on the screen.
And we're gonna meet. We're gonna meet in a few months, aren't we? Like live for real together. I can't wait to hug you guys. It's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so fun. All right. Well, we will sign off. Remember, ladies, just hang out and smile for about 30 seconds, and then I'll hit the end stream button, because if I do it too soon, it'll cut us off, and then everybody will be like, where'd they go? So, guys, don't forget, if you're in the Business and Financial Astrology course, our last live Q&A is tomorrow night at 6 p.m. You should have gotten an email. I will put a reminder on the Fellowship of 13 Signs so you all remember where to go and when. Please email me if you have any trouble accessing it. If you can't get in, that's okay. We're going to record it, and I'll put the modules up the next day. And then that's right. It'll be. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible, and I do appreciate all your feedback. So, all right, ladies, I love you so much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for everybody who was in the chat and contributed today.
Yes.
All right. And we will end